Another stunning moment in American history. Exactly 1 week after the assault on the Capitol, and with 6 days left to end his term, President Trump now finds himself impeached by the House of Representatives for an unprecedented second time. 10 House Republicans broke with their party, joining 222 Democrats to approve a single article of impeachment that charges the president with incitement of an insurrection. Shortly after the vote, the White House released a recorded message. But the president did not make any comments about his second impeachment. Instead, he denounced the deadly violence last week. But it comes days after the deaths of 6 people, including a Capitol officer.
Whether you are on the right or on the left, a Democrat or a Republican, there is never a justification for violence. No excuses, no exceptions. America is a nation of laws. Those who engaged in the attacks last week will be brought to justice. Now I am asking everyone...
That's a portion of his statement. The video comes 1 week before President-elect Biden's inauguration. So Debra Alfarone joins me now from Capitol Hill. Debra, how could this impeachment trial impact Mr. Biden's transition? There's been a lot of concern that it may actually overshadow this new administration as we deal with the fallout of the last administration.
And that concern is warranted for sure, Anne-Marie, because it could actually delay the confirmation of several of President-elect Biden's cabinet members. It could even delay things like, let's say, coronavirus legislation. So that's why President-elect Biden is saying the Senate needs to move forward in 2 lanes and really get both done.
The House of Representatives impeached President Trump on Wednesday for inciting an insurrection at the U.S. Capitol.
The terrorists who stormed this building plan to hang the vice president, kill the speaker, and topple our government.
Mr. Trump becomes the only president to be impeached twice.
Well, we said if we didn't remove him, he would do it again.
While National Guard troops camped out in the Capitol, 222 Democrats were joined by 10 Republicans in voting yes, making it the most bipartisan impeachment vote in U.S. history.
I am not choosing a side, I'm choosing truth. It's the only way to defeat fear.
Most of the GOP argued for unity in the president's defense, even if some admitted he bears responsibility.
A vote to impeach will further fan the flames of partisan division.
But Democrats want Mr. Trump held accountable.
People died because of the big lies that were being told.
After weeks of false election claims,
It was a rigged election.
culminating in last week's fiery speech.
And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
While the trial isn't expected to start until after President Trump leaves office, a conviction by 2/3 majority of the Senate would likely bar him from running for president again.
My fellow Americans,
President Trump did not mention the impeachment in a video released by the White House, but he did tell his supporters there should be no more violence.
no true supporter of mine could ever endorse political violence.
In a statement, President-elect Joe Biden says he hopes the Senate can balance the trial with working on the nation's business.
Mr. Biden takes office on January 20th. The Senate comes back on January 19th, Anne-Marie.
I think the expectation is there are going to be about 20,000 National Guard members in the nation's capital in time for the inauguration. We all saw these images of these National Guard members inside the Capitol building. Is this enhanced military presence easing tensions a bit?
You would think it would, right? But it seems that this is really very raw for so many people. And yesterday on the House floor, you heard representative after representative talking about having to hide, having to lie on the floor, hearing the gunshots, pounding on the door. They thought that their lives were at stake there. They thought they were going to die. And even Representative Al Green of Texas, he was brought to tears talking about it. So I don't know that they're going to ever be forgetting this. I tell you, looking outside right now and on my walk here too, so many Guard members, they're armed. You can't get near the Capitol. And yesterday, the Department of Defense saying, this is a high threat level here to the place that we come to every day. It's really unnerving, I have to say, Anne-Marie.
I can only imagine, Debra. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. We're bringing in Siobhan Hughes right now. She is a Capitol Hill reporter for the Wall Street Journal. Thank you so much for joining us, Siobhan. So listen, let's talk about what's happening now in terms of this impeachment. We know that the president, or there is a likelihood now that the president could face a Senate trial. So what are the next steps? What are you hearing from Republicans? Because I suppose the Senate could sort of vote outright to dismiss it completely if they have enough votes. But what are you hearing from party leaders? What's the feeling in the Senate?
Well, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell issued a statement yesterday indicating that he had not made up his mind on the guilt or innocence of President Trump and that he looked forward to hearing the information. All of this suggests that there is going to be a trial. The duration of that is unknown, and the timing is somewhat uncertain, in addition to the rules under which that trial will take place. Right now, Mitch McConnell is the Senate Majority Leader, but that power will shift over to Chuck Schumer depending upon a couple of things. Number one, of course, Joe Biden gaining the presidency. That will tip the balance of power to Democrats. But number two, there are two Georgia Senate races that are still not finalized. They have to be certified. The officials in Georgia say they expect that certification to be complete by the 20th, but that's not a guarantee. And so it may take a little bit before those two can be sworn in. I am told from a source also that Republican leaders have been putting queries into the parliamentarian to see whether or not they can do what your previous reporter suggested, bifurcate the day, work on legislation at one moment, a trial at the next moment. And so these are just some pieces of the puzzle that are in the equation.
What about Lindsey Graham? He's sort of, in recent days, it almost seemed like he kind of went back and forth. He, had some damning words for the president. Then we saw him on a plane with the president. He tried to urge Nancy Pelosi to not pursue impeachment. Are we hearing anything from him?
Yeah, we heard from Lindsey Graham yesterday. He came out really against any type of impeachment proceedings. He said that it would only divide the country further and that it was really time to move on. Lindsey Graham, it's classical for him to be walking this line, first shifting to the left, then shifting a little bit to the right. But the bottom line is, at the moment, he is one of only a handful of Republicans who have clearly come out in opposition to the proceedings. The number of Republicans who are keeping an open mind, holding their powder dry, taking a wait-and-see approach is easily in the dozens.
So he's the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, so he would be presiding over sort of any sort of trial, or at least influential over any sort of Senate trial. I want to ask you about moving forward. I was thinking about, the idea of a Senate trial and what could come out of it. House Democrats are demanding answers after at least one lawmaker said that she witnessed Congress members taking individuals around, touring them around the Capitol building. She used the word reconnaissance the day before the assault on the Capitol. The investigation is still in some very, very early stages, but just how is this being received on the Hill? And the possibility that rioters may have actually been inside the building beforehand.
So I believe you're referencing the New Jersey Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill. She was one of about 30 Democrats who wrote a letter saying that they were concerned that this was not only premeditated, but that it may have been an inside job with help from lawmakers. The concern of these Democrats is that they saw lawmakers or tours going through the Capitol on January 5th. At this moment in time, that's highly unusual because even before January 6th, the Capitol was in a bit of a lockdown over the coronavirus. It was impossible for an average person to get into that building without the assistance, the approval, the escortment of an aide or a congressman. And so that's where their concern is. I do think this is a big deal because while the primary focus right now is on President Trump, Democrats have made clear that their next target, their next focus is going to be Republican lawmakers who they are concerned were complicit in the violence on January 6th.
Siobhan Hughes, thank you very much.